Hey y'all. Ooh, hey, what's going on? Listen, I know it's early in the morning. I know it's early in the morning, but it's like 6:12 in the morning, and I'm up. I haven't been able to sleep for days. Um, it's hard when you lose somebody that you love and that you're close to. It's very, very difficult, guys. Um, and some people think that grieving is just crying. It's not. It's more than that. It's your whole function. I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm talking about Joseph, I'm remembering some of the good times, I'm remembering the tumultuous time, I'm thinking about what I could have did wrong or what I could have did right. It's a lot. It's a lot. Grieving is not easy. It's not. It's not an easy process. And everybody grieves different. I know that I'm grieving different than anybody else that is grieving over the loss of him. As far as I'm concerned, it's more personal for me because he was my husband. So, what other people, the way that other people are grieving, um, I'm not really focusing on. I'm focusing on the way that I'm grieving. It's not easy. I find myself sitting here in this hospital bed thinking about something that he did to make me laugh. But then I find myself thinking about that last day, that last day that I was there with him. Think about that a lot. That's not an easy. That's not an easy thought. Oh Jesus. Yeah, that's not an easy thought to think about. It was the last day I was there with him. That wasn't. That's not an easy thought. because I look back on it now and I know it wasn't him. He just wasn't in his right mind. He wasn't in his right mind. And as much as people say to me, Jamel, you should have stayed. You shouldn't have left. I left. Then I think about, I got here to Virginia and I ended up in the hospital and I wanted to go back, but I couldn't go back. But, we talked on the phone a lot. We talked on the phone just about every other day. Yeah, just about every other day we talked on the phone. In the beginning, he cursed me out, told me not to call him no more. I told him I'm going to keep on calling him. And eventually we ended up making up and you know, everything was okay. And we had some really deep conversation, me and Joseph, after that, you know, about his health and how he was doing. But he would never fully tell me how he was doing. That was one of the things that frustrated me so much about my husband was is that if I asked him a question, I couldn't get an answer. I couldn't get a solid answer out of him. If I asked him, Joseph, did you take the garbage out? He would go into a whole story about how, taking the garbage out is important and da 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 da. I could never get an answer. I could never get a solid answer. And that's what I dealt with speaking with him on a day-to-day basis after that was, you know, I would say, Joseph, how are you doing? And he would start crying. And I would be like, well, what are you crying for? And he said, Tremel, I'm not doing well. I'm like, what do you mean you're not doing well? He would tell me a little bit about what was going on in him, but he wouldn't tell me everything. So I never knew how good or bad he was doing. I tried to get information from the doctors and the nurses that were caring for him. I would always tell the nurse to give the doctor my phone number and please ask the doctor to give me a call, but I would never get a phone call from the doctors. The nurses would tell me, oh, well, he's resting. That's all the information I was ever given. Then I come to find out one day I called to ask about him and nobody would tell me anything. And so I asked to speak to a supervisor, a higher up. I wanted to speak to the charge nurse or somebody that can give me some answers. And the charge nurse said, Mr. McCrae, we're not allowed to say anything. I said, what do you mean you're not allowed to say anything? Well, the family does not want anybody to have information about him. I said, but I'm his husband. They said, that doesn't matter. I said, when I come up there, you guys aren't going to give me information about what's going on with my husband. They said, no, we'll tell you everything. They didn't believe me. They didn't believe that I was his husband. I spoke to someone, they said, Mr. McCrae, if you show us a marriage certificate, then we'll give you all the information that you want. I got a phone call after that. I got a phone call from two doctors. They wouldn't tell me their names, but what they did tell me was that my husband had made a decision to go to hospice and spend his last days there. I said, are you kidding me? They said, Mr. McCrae, we didn't even know you existed. They didn't even know I existed. They didn't even know he was married. His family told them that I had abandoned him. So they told me that he had made a decision that he wasn't going to do dialysis anymore, and that he was just going to allow his kidneys to shut down, and he was just going to die. I said, no, you can't let him do that. And the doctor said, well, the decision is his. The decision is his. We can't stop him. If that's the decision that he wants to make, then that's the decision that we have to go with. I said, there's nothing that I could say. No, you can't say it. There's nothing that you can say that will stop us from doing whatever him, the patient, wants to do. And I was taken aback. I was flabbergasted. So days went on, and someone, a friend, a family friend, talked him into going back to dialysis. And so he ended up going back to dialysis in his last days. But his health, even after he started going back to dialysis, his health was failing. He was still, his health was failing. They had a feeding tube in him, and, they had him hooked up to all these machines and things. And this is something that I knew that my husband didn't want. He didn't want to have a machine breathing for him. He always told me that, Jamal, please don't let them put me on life support. Please don't let them put me on a machine that's going to keep me alive. I don't want that. But I'm pretty sure there was some machines that he was on that were helping him live. Um, he had a feeding tube, uh, and I'm pretty sure he was on a heart monitor. So, days went by, and we had conversations on the phone, and a lot of our conversations were about, what would happen if he passed away. And he would tell me, Tramel, I want to be cremated. Please make sure that I'm cremated. And I would be like, well, okay, I'm going to make sure because it was so important to him to be cremated. He said he did not want to be put in the ground. And I said, well, Joseph, why you don't want to be put in the ground? He said, because he said, I don't want no rats and other animals eating at my body. So I said, okay, I'm going to make sure that he's cremated. So November 5th came. November 5th came and he passed away. Nobody told me. Nobody told me. Not a soul. His sister, his cousins, his uncle, his other uncle that lives in Virginia. None of them, none of them called me and told me that he passed away. Nobody. I found out exactly a week later that he had passed away, and that they had cremated his body. I says to myself, well, how were they able to get possession of his body? Well, they had told the hospital, they had everybody at the hospital convinced, and at the funeral home, that I had abandoned him. And so they were able to get his body that way. See, because reality is I was the next of kin. But if I abandoned him, then I had no rights. And let me be clear on this. The only reason, the only reason why I never went back to Georgia to be by my husband's side is because I couldn't. Health wise, I couldn't. I could not get on a bus and go to Georgia. And that was my only means of transportation. I didn't have a car. So I ended up stuck here in Virginia because I had just had surgery on my foot, and the doctors wouldn't let me leave. I'm grieving, y'all. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy remembering everything that happened. You know, his family says I left him for dead. It's not easy grieving because not only am I grieving, I'm dealing with the backlash of his family. I'm dealing with the backlash of some subscribers that say that I should have stayed. And y'all, right now, the GoFundMe page is at zero. Nobody is donating their dollars. Like I said, I would prefer, instead of you sending me a cash app, go to the GoFundMe and go to the GoFundMe and donate there. Y'all, I'm having technical issues putting the GoFundMe page in the comment section, but I will put it in the description of this video and every video that I do after that, okay? So I need you guys, I really do need you guys to go over and donate to the GoFundMe page. I need your support, okay? Well, y'all, it's time for me to go. My doctor is about to come in here and check my vitals, and so I cannot record while my doctor is in here. And I will talk to you guys later on today. All right? So until later, make sure you walk in love, peace, sunshine, happiness. Have a great and beautiful morning. And if you're not having one, don't go and mess up somebody else's. All right? Have a good day. And always remember, it's Team McCray all damn day.